every time I start my talk, I try and offer you a kind of a different slant on this personality. I give you a different angle on this personality. And today the focus is going to be on Ramakrishna, the bestower of grace. You see, we all like to think of God, but you see, God is so distant, and we are here and we are struggling to make sense of life. And life is harsh. We all know it's very harsh. I mean, even up here, with the recent marriage, things are, they're always harsh, So life is harsh. And yet, we seem to kind of relate or try to relate to the idea of spirituality and God. I mean, try and link up with this God. And we need all the help we can get. So whenever we come across a personality who is the bestower of grace, who gives it away, you can't do better. And this is what Ramakrishna is about. He's the bestower of grace. Before I talk about it, let me just do a story that he used to narrate himself. An interesting story. There are 4 friends who go for a walk in the forest. As they go, they find a wall, they come across a wall. And from behind the wall, they hear very nice divine music playing from behind the wall. And of course, they are very curious, very divine, exciting music. What is going on behind the wall? They must find out. They go right around the wall, but it's circular. They can't get behind it. And still the music is coming from behind the wall, and they want to get to it, and they are struggling. So they decide to use a technique. They say, okay, let's help each other so we can climb the wall and see what is going on behind. So 2 friends, raise the third one and say, okay, we are sending you up. Tell us what's going on behind. They lifted him up, and the third friend climbed up, sat on the wall, looked behind, and went, ah, and then disappeared behind the wall. Now the 3 friends left behind said, this is not a very useful thing, not a very helpful thing. He just went, ah, and disappeared. Didn't tell us what's going on. Not a very useful fellow. They said, okay, we send you the second one. We send the second one up now. This time, don't disappear by going, ah. The second friend is now lifted up, and he also climbs up onto the wall, and he looks behind, and he goes into ecstasy. He's in an excited mood. He does a bit of a singing and dancing show on top of the wall. He dances on the top of the wall, walks about dancing and singing and excited. And in no time, he too disappears. Oh dear, said the other 2 friends, we don't know what's going on behind the wall. We lost 2 friends. Let's do one more. Let's give it one more go. So the third friend gives the hand to the 4th friend to climb up the wall, gives him a hand so the 4th friend can just climb up the wall, sit on top of the wall. He looks behind the wall and goes, ah! He wants to sing and dance too, but he holds himself in check. He sits quietly there. He puts one leg on this side of the wall and the other leg on the other side of the wall, and he straddles the wall firmly so he doesn't disappear again like the other ones. He told the 4th friend, do you know what is here? This thing that we are searching for so many lives, this thing called spirituality, this thing called God, is what is on this side. But don't worry. I'm not going to be taken in so easily. I'm going to just disappear to those, because it's so exciting, it's so sweet, it's so attractive. You are tempted to disappear and merge in God. So don't worry, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to straddle the wall very firmly between my legs, won't let it, I'll sit firmly on the wall and give my arm to you and lift you up, my friend, so you too can see or experience this thing called God. Now this story is very telling because it tells us these are the different kind of personalities we come across in the Hindu tradition. There are many rishis, many sages, many saints, many seers who experience God. The experience is so attractive. Look, this is far more attractive than everything you put together in your life. Multiply by million. It's much more sweeter than that. It's such a sweet experience, such an attractive experience. You just merge. You don't have time for any, sending any notes to your parents. You just disappear. This is the God experience. And many sages, thousands, would emerge in God without making any fuss, without letting anybody know. They would just merge in the Lord. These are the rishis of the ancient and modern India. This is called the Shanta Bhav. They just merge in God without kicking up a fuss. The second kind of people we come across are the ones who do a bit of a jig on top of the wall, a bit of dance and music. These are the bhaktas, the devotees, who are so excited by this experience of God, they can't help themselves but do a bit of a dance and song and dance. They can't help themselves. You see, look, this is again the most sweet experience. And before they merge in the Lord, merge in God, they want to make a little bit of an exhibition to the rest of humanity that there is something exciting behind this wall that we're all searching for. These are the great bhaktas, the Miras, the Tulsidas, the Tukarams of this world. They sing and dance in the name of God, and we say, wow, what marvelous thing. What have they touched? What have they touched? And they merge in God. But the third friend is the unique chap. He is very excited by God. He wants to merge in God. He also wants to do a bit of singing and dancing. But he says, I'm not going to lose my balance. I'm here for a greater purpose. It is not only enough for me to experience God, it is necessary and it's very important for me to give this experience to the rest of mankind. I will straddle the wall. It is a harsh experience to straddle the wall. I will straddle the wall and put my hand out and lift lots of other people, so that this experience that I find so exciting is not just meant for me, it is meant for the greater humanity. And they sit on the wall and pick up lots of people and pull them up. These are very special. This is the Ramakrishna. He was telling his own story without realizing it. These are the people who can experience God. Look, you see, whenever, again I'm repeating this because I think it's very important to emphasize this aspect of Hindu religion. It is marvelous to find personalities who can relate to God, who can argue about God, who can debate about God, who can articulate about God. Marvelous chaps. Have they experienced God for themselves? Ask yourself. You test them out. Have they really experienced? This is an experiential enterprise. It is not an intellectual enterprise, neither is it an emotive enterprise. It's an experiential enterprise. This is what we are searching for. Serious first-time God experience. Are they experienced? First question. If they are, you are in the right path. Second question. Can they give this experience to us? Can they pass on this marvelous thing, not just keep it to themselves, but do they have the power to transmit it to us? When you meet such personalities, don't let them off. Hang on to them. These are very special. And this is the caliber of this Ramakrishna. Lots of people came, left, right and center, in the middle of the night, throughout the day, throughout his life. You see, here we find a personality who doesn't experience God once in a while. Continually, 7 days a week, it's 24 hours a day, he's intoxicated with God experience. Can you imagine that personality? At the drop of a hat, while he's talking, if anybody mentions the word Ishwar, God, Bhagavan, anything, off he goes. And he lights up, and you see this is not make-believe. He's actually immediately able to leave this world, this plane, and enter the godly plane, and immediately become infused with spiritual experience, instantaneously, continually. You have to hold him down. In fact, he had to struggle to keep the body going. He had great difficulty. And sometimes when people, they had difficulty to interact with this person because he would fly off. But the thing is, he didn't fly off on his own. He took lots of people with him. And this is what we're going to discuss today. How many people received his grace and so easily? Look, if you go to a guru, they'll say, look, first of all, join my ashram, and for 20 years, recite this thing that I'm telling you, sit on the bank of the Ganga and recite this day and night, memorize this, and I'll test you. They'll give you all these exercises to do, and by the time you finish, all your hair have fallen out and you are struggling. Here is this unusual personality. Do you know what he does? He calls you, he gives you the God experience first, then said, we'll do the practices afterwards. Can you find a marvelous teacher like that? He gives you first and he gives you God experience number one. Almost every youngster who came to him at this particular juncture, all of them were given God experience literally on the first or second visit. Boom! Narendra, Rakhal. Remember I told you the stories of Vivekananda. The second time went, Ramakrishna went and touched him, and boom, off this fellow goes. He said, stop it. He was not ready even. This is the power of this. He wants to give it away. This is why he's a bestower of grace. He wants to give it away. Every youngster who came, tell you how we did it. It's such a marvelous story. In our day and life, in this age, can this happen? Can this be true? Lots of these youngsters came. Sometimes, you know what they'll say? He'll say, there's just at the second or third visit they've had it. First visit they'll just give, nice boy, yes, come here, come again. That's all. Second time they are in trouble. When they visit, he will go near them and boom, pass it on straight away. Sometimes, he would say, okay, go and sit in the Panchavati and I'll come and see you. And the little boy, some of them were only 14-year-old, 14 to 20 age group, roughly. And they would visit this boy, this man. Only a handful youngsters, that's all. They would visit, go and sit in the Panchavati. They would sitting, Ramakrishna would go near and just at a mere glance, see the power, at a mere glance. There is no book learning, there is no Shastra Adyan, there is nothing. By mere glance, that fellow begins to shudder and in no time closes his eyes and goes into the deepest meditation. He doesn't know what's hit him. Given first an experience instantaneously. Some he would touch, some with a glance, some he would say, can you stick your tongue out? I'm telling you a real story, weird as you might find it. The person will say, of course you don't stick your tongues out to your guru generally. But he will ask you to stick your tongue out. And then he'll come mumbling something and we don't know what he does. He somehow kind of scribbles something on your tongue. And the moment that happens, you are gone. Is he gone where? To our home. Our real home, our spiritual home. He sends us off. We discover our real identity instantaneously.